So that's one thing I want to mention to everyone who's on here. If you're looking to just get your foot in the door, is to always not think of things as a take, but how can you create value for that individual? And in return, you can get some value in exchange.
Welcome to the BiggerPockets Best Deal Ever show. I'm your lovable host, Ken Corsini, who with my wife, Anita, have flipped over 800 houses in Atlanta since 2005 and even have a show on HGTV. But this show isn't about us. It's about all the amazing real estate investors out there that are crushing it. It's about their stories, their best deals, how they sourced them, how they funded them, and what we can learn from their experiences. This is the Best Deal Ever show. Hey, this is Ken Corsini with the Best Deal Ever show. Today I'm joined by my new friend, Sterling White. Sterling, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. Go ahead, get your notepad out, get your popcorn ready, because there's going to be some absolute fire that is dropped.
Nice. I love the enthusiasm. Sterling is going to bring it. I can already tell, man. He's got some nuggets of wisdom for us today. Hey, but first, Sterling, tell us where you're from and what you do.
All right. So I am in Indianapolis, born and raised in the not so good parts of the city where when people are driving through, they tend to lock their doors. Had a single mother that raised both my twin brother and I. We were in Section 8 housing, food stamps. And so anything that I wanted above and beyond that as a kid, that's where the whole entrepreneurship spirit came into existence. First product, Kool-Aid. Second was Pokemon cards. And
Wait, time out. Kool-Aid?
Yes, Kool-Aid.
You sold Kool-Aid?
Yes, I would take the standard Kool-Aid and then put sugar in within a plastic bag and just would sell those to kids throughout the school.
And they would just
early elementary days,
eat like one of those dip things, like where they would just straight up just eat the Kool-Aid.
Exactly.
Man,
just
you had some hopped up kids in that school, man, munching down sugary Kool-Aid. That's amazing. What was the other product?
Pokemon cards.
Oh, Pokemon cards. Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
And then, how I got started in real estate was in 2009 on the construction side. And that's when I fell in love with real estate as a whole. Not so much construction, because I was taking mortar, mixing it. I was a laborer and provided it to the bricklayers. Huge respect for those guys, but that wasn't a fit for me, and shifted to single family home investing and bought my first deal at the age of 23 years old. This is 2013. No money out of pocket. And I actually had negative funds in my bank account because I over-withdrew it, but was still able to overcome that. And then was able to scale up to 150 single families. And then in 2017, entirely shifted to multifamily, was able to get up to just under 600 units.
600 doors?
600 doors, correct.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so how many single families did you do?
Close to about 150 owned.
100 owned. And do you still have that portfolio?
No, completely out of single families.
Wow. So you sold the portfolio and then just reinvested into multifamily?
Correct. Yes.
Man, that's amazing. And how long have you been doing this? You said since
2009.
2009.
Investing wise, 2013.
Okay, gotcha. You know, it's interesting. I have met a handful of folks that kind of started on the construction side, and you're working for an investor probably, and you see what they're doing. You're like, this isn't rocket science. I mean, I'm doing all the work. I just got to figure out which houses to buy and how to sell them, right?
Exactly.
And so, were you working for investors at the time?
No, I was working for an investor, but I didn't see the high level in terms of what was going on. Yeah. I just knew from the readings, because this is when I really started to shift to the self-development and really studying the ultra wealthy. And I saw that they had investing in real estate in their portfolio. So I said, why am I a laborer when this is ultimately where I want to go?
Yeah. Any particular books or education that kind of changed your mindset?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I knew it. That's what set you up, because I knew you were going to say it. I just wanted to hear you say it.
the layup there.
The layup. Everybody, man. It's amazing how many people it's changed their lives. It's changed their perspective. So good for you for reading that, man, and taking action.
Yeah, there was him that was a huge influence on me. Earl Nightingale, which is probably dating myself a little bit, but he's a similar motivational speaker to like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar. He's around the Zig Ziglar era, most likely before them, but he was the creator of listening while learning. And he talks about the strangest secret. And that was an absolute game changer in terms of we become what we think about. So that's when I really started feeding my mind more with positivity.
Man, that's amazing. Earl, I've never heard of him. Earl Nightingale. I'll have to check him out. Very cool. So now you're doing multifamily and primarily in Indianapolis, or what does that look like for you now?
Yeah, I would say markets, so sub-markets around Indianapolis, as well
Yep.
as larger cities that have a MSA
Yep.
in what is it, Kentucky? So
Okay.
Lexington as well as Louisville. But
Oh,
have
interesting.
have deals in Louisville, nothing just yet in Lexington.
I gotcha. And are you primarily syndicating or out there finding investors to come into your deals with you?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
syndications.
And you're basically the operator?
Yes,
You're
and the
managing?
operator.
Okay. Man, fantastic. All right. So you've been doing this a number of years. You did a ton of single family. You've done some multifamily. Is there any deal in particular that stands out as your best deal ever?
So I would say my very first deal that I put together was my best deal ever because
All right.
one, that's how I was able to get my foot in the door, and then also there was so many limiting beliefs that I
Yeah.
absolutely just shattered through that process.
Man, that's good. Even if, a lot of times, if it's not the most profitable deal, it doesn't mean wasn't the best deal. I mean, if you learn the most, absolutely that could be a best deal ever. So let's talk about how did you find this very first deal?
Gosh, so taking a step back, I tried just about everything. So I was putting up bandit signs, I was doing yellow letters. So picked a specific location. So the person who I ended up partnering with was my mentor at the time, and the I didn't have any cash. My credit score, when you would pull it, wouldn't even register. However, I decided, yeah, that's how bad
Like you just
nothing
had
even
no, it wasn't that it was bad credit. You just had no credit.
no credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I
That's
don't know
actually
if
probably
that
better than bad credit.
you think so?
Yeah.
And however, I decided to not use that as I looked at it as a problem to be solved. So I
Yep.
found my mentor, and he was looking to diversify from multifamily to single family. And I said, okay, well, I know you don't have the time to find the deals. That's where I come into play. So from there, picked a specific neighborhood, did yellow letters to the homeowners in that location, and then also was putting up bandit signs, and then networking with other wholesalers that were in that were doing deals in that setting as well, and
Yep.
then ended up getting one from a local wholesaler, sent over the deal, vetted it, and then ended up moving forward from there.
So you were doing all the right things to find off market, and ultimately it was a wholesaler that brought you the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Which can happen, dude. I've bought more houses from wholesalers when I've been marketing in the same areas. That's just because they got to it first and made $5,000 or $10,000. Who cares? If it's a
Yeah,
deal, it's a deal, right?
exactly. And that's one thing I had to overcome is the scarcity mindset. It's completely fine that that person is making money as long as it pencils out on the other end. Then by all means.
100%. 100%. Shouldn't it really? It's funny because it's always going to rub somebody the wrong way if you see that a wholesaler is making a whole lot of money, but it shouldn't matter. If the number pencils out for you, it pencils out for you, right?
Exactly.
All right, so what sort of house and what'd you buy it for?
So this specific house, it was it was in a working class setting, I would say C plus type neighborhood.
Yep.
And through that was 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath, and
Yep.
bought it for $25,000. So those of you who are on the West Coast or even East Coast, you get some very affordable houses out here in Indianapolis. It's not a shed by any means that's falling over.
Wow. 25, you said?
Correct. It needed 25,000, 25 in renovations as well,
Yeah.
though. But
What year was this? Just out of curiosity.
oh gosh, this was I'd have to revert 1920s or so, 1930s.
1920s. And then when did you buy it?
This was 2000 October of 2000. I'd have to pull up. I know it was in 2013.
13. Okay. So the market hadn't really fully recovered yet. So there were still some deals. Could you buy that same house today for 25,000?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Even
Yeah.
close. I
That's
would
kind of what I
say in
figured.
that condition it was 50 to 60
Yeah.
in terms of
Gotcha. Yeah. So the timing was good. Bought it for 25. And what was your plan with this house?
buy and hold.
Buy and hold. All right. So it needed 25,000 renovations. What did that look like for you?
And after the renovations, it was $850 in terms of the rent, and
Nice.
the rehab went to just updating the flooring. The garage needed some addressing of the roof, paint scheme throughout. It needed quite a bit of work.
Gotcha. Yeah. So how did everything come about? You bought the house from the wholesaler. How did you structure that then with your investor, with your mentor?
Yeah. So through that is instead of taking a simple wholesale fee, I could have made 2 or 3 grand on that specific one. I
Yep.
requested equity. So I was thinking long term on that, and
Yep.
my sweat equity that I brought to the table, I was able to get 15%, and then
Okay.
able to get the remaining 85%. But through that is I was managing the contractors. I did the showed up to the closing, so did the title work, and then took the incoming leasing call. So I did everything hands on, learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, and was
Yeah.
able to apply those lessons moving forward.
Man, that's creative. So he put up all the money, but you found the deal, managed the rehab, put the tenant in place, did the closing, and made 15%. I'll tell you what, I'd take that deal all day long as an investor.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Right? And you learned. I mean, you got a piece of the deal, but you were learning in the process. So what sort of mistakes did you make along the way? Anything crazy?
I would say when I first walked into the house, I anticipated, and this is one thing I did too, is looking back, I trusted the wholesalers' numbers. So originally they said the rehab was going to be closer to about 15,000. I walked
Never trust a wholesaler's rehab numbers
exactly.
ever.
Yeah. So ended up costing 10 grand more. And then
Okay.
there was delays in terms of it was during the winter months, which in Indianapolis, the winter months can get pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And another lesson that was learned once the residents got in, about 7 months into it, they started subleasing. So they completely moved out
Oh
and
my
had
gosh.
people from because they were restaurant bartenders, and they had other bartenders from their work that were living there. It was a complete nightmare. Ended up getting it figured out, but still, it was like, ah.
Wow. That's definitely lesson learned there. Now, for your investor, did he get hard money or did he put up cash and then refi into something long term?
Just all cash on that specific deal, still holding it. I
Yep.
have since then exited out of that partnership entirely,
Okay.
and shift to the company that I founded in 2014.
Gotcha. So what did that look like after you did the work, you got it leased up, the thing's cash flowing, your investor still owns it cash, and you said, hey, this was a great venture, I want out. What did that look like? How did you exit it?
So that was just writing up of within the partnership agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just a simple, gosh, what was it, 2 to 3 grand in terms of what the buyout was on that.
Okay. Okay. So he bought you out for 2 to 3 grand, and then that's basically all you made on the deal?
Yeah. Along with all the tuition that I ended up, or the education that I got, which
Dude.
was far more what I got from college.
Well, no doubt. You set yourself up from the beginning that it was never going to be like a windfall. It was like, I want to do this. This guy's going to facilitate it for me. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do all the work. I mean, good for you for right out of the gates, just saying, give me a shot. I don't need to make a bunch of money. I just want to do it to just prove that I can do it.
Yeah, and myself is I started working for him for completely free within his management company, and he was more of a old school operator.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem that I solved for him was just creating more of a digital presence with his apartments being available for rent. So that's one thing I want to mention to everyone who's on here. If you're looking to just get your foot in the door, is to always not think of things as a take, but how can you create value for that individual, and in return you can get some value in exchange.
Absolutely. I would guess is this the only deal you did with this guy? My guess is you've done some other deals.
So ended up buying a property right across the street. That was 40,000, and then put 5,000 into it and rented it for 725.
Wow, those are such good numbers, man. Was it this? And so when
Can't
you
get
did it,
those anymore.
no, unfortunately, I mean, Atlanta used to have crazy numbers like that. Not anymore, man. It doesn't exist. But so did you structure that other deal the same way with him?
Yeah, the exact same way.
Okay. Yeah, he had a gravy train there for a minute. He's like, this is fantastic. Let's keep doing this. But you got you got your education. You did this for what, a year or so, and then said, okay, I got my education. I'm ready to move to the next level.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at that time, I was also doing some wholesaling as well. I was doing some fix and flip, but I really ended up settling up on buy and hold because that's what I truly enjoy most, and where I saw the ultimate wealth is built.
Gotcha. Just curious, did the investor, did he ever refi out his portfolio and he didn't stay cash probably?
That is a great question. I'd have to follow up with him. Haven't talked in a while.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
He got mad when you left and started doing it on your own. He's like, where's my guy? That's okay. So, I mean, amazing way to enter this business. What did you learn? How did it change your business going forward after you did this deal?
I would say from that is the lessons I learned is reputation is key in this industry, meaning that I would say it's very small. So on let's say the multifamily side, or even when you're doing single families and you're dealing with agents, that if you have a bad fallout with one, they tend to talk and that reputation will carry on. So prime example, if you go into a deal knowing that you're going to retrade, and retrade is just another form of renegotiate the deal. If
Mm-hmm.
you're known to do that, then people will not want to work with you. So that was one thing, is reputation. And then additionally is I would say how crucial mindset is. That's something even before the partnership of
Yeah.
just beliefs, meaning that there was for the longest time I thought investing in real estate was only for the ultra wealthy, and that secondly that you needed a large amount of cash. I didn't have either one of those, but still was able to get my foot in the door and not let any obstacle decide to look at it as a barrier, but how can I go about solving this versus boom, I'm stagnant.
Yeah, man, I love that story because you're right. It totally is mindset. It's especially you coming up, with a poor upbringing. That I'm sure it's drilled into you that they have and we don't. And here you are saying, I don't believe that. That's garbage. I'm going to come in. I'm going to partner with somebody. I'm going to learn. I'm going to use their cash instead of my own. Make some money in the process, and then break down all those barriers and then launch the business. That, I mean, in a short amount of time for you to own that many doors is phenomenal, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable. Kudos to you.
And one thing I want to mention, this is a huge fan of Grant Cardone. Love him or hate him, most people who are on here, is he talks about unlearning certain things. And I thought that was like a mind shift for me, is because that's exactly what happened in that case. Is there was limiting beliefs, which I still have limiting beliefs still to this day that I'm steadily looking to unlock. But yeah, that's what I was able to get from really investing in myself, listening to self-improvement, positivity on a daily basis, and being around other people who are looking to push themselves up more to unlock certain limiting beliefs to where, okay, I can do this instead of look at it as why not can I not do this?
Yeah. Man, what a good reminder that is for folks that are focusing so heavily on just educating before they get started. I would say before you educate, you change your work on mindset, because mindset, man, it's so critical to your success, is to believe that you can do it and focus on the positive. And the fact that you did that, I'm sure you would attribute so much of that to your success, is just switching your mindset.
Oh my gosh, so much. So yeah, always. Even when I shifted to multifamily and was going through brokers, they would send over deals, wasn't working out in terms of the number side. So I said, okay, well, I can just wait or just keep relying on the brokers. But I decided, why not go direct to owners as a pathway to beat the brokers to the punch in essence. And that's how I've acquired all my multifamily deals, was just off market. But that's the same principle.
Yeah.
Is just, how can I figure this out?
Yeah, right. I don't need somebody else. I'm not going to believe what they're telling me. I'm going to figure it out on my own.
There we go.
Awesome, man, Sterling. This is super inspiring. It's funny, maybe the smallest amount of profit on a best deal ever, but maybe the biggest takeaway is, man, for somebody, because I think it's more relatable what you're telling our audience right now. Somebody that wants to get started, and here's how you got started with no credit, no cash. You got your foot in the door, and look, a couple years later, look all the doors you own. That's super inspiring. I love it.
Exactly. Credit score wouldn't even register.
That's right. I gotta love it. Better than horrible credit, though, because you can establish new credit. Sterling, man, this was so good. I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
For sure. Thanks everyone for being on here.
All right, talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Best Deal Ever show, brought to you by BiggerPockets. If you've been energized, entertained, or enlightened by today's show, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ken Corsini, or check us out online at redbarnhomes.com. And don't forget, one man's best deal ever may be the inspiration you need to create your next best deal. So, hope to see you on the next episode.